Hello, this is Kurt Wallner. Today we're going to color in all of the kitchens in the White House, and we have a lot of ground to cover, so we're going to start at the top with the family kitchen. So the way that this is done is that I take the big piece of paper and I curl it under the table so that I can get to the upper reaches of the thing. Because of the intense number of horizontal and vertical lines that need to be drawn in the family kitchen, I end up turning the piece a lot, and you will see that going on a lot in the footage. All of this inky fun is only the beginning, of course. We have 3 more kitchens to do, so let's get to it. After finishing inking the family kitchen, we move on to the devilishly cluttered pastry kitchen on the mezzanine on the first floor. In starting a complicated room like the pastry kitchen, it is my practice to begin inking all of the exterior walls to begin with, from the front to the back. And why I do this is that it gives me a nice, reassuring circle of accomplishment. I like to work from left to right, and in this case, that starts with the ovens and moves on to the decorating table and stuff like that. The display case, all of the details in the display case I'm going to leave until I do the coloring. So on the butler's pantry level, we start in with the exterior walls again. All the windows and the curtains and the various circulation things. Because I've done this room once before, the state dining room, it does tend to go a lot easier and a lot smoother. I'm a little more familiar with many of these objects since this is the second time around. All of this leads to the yawning chasm of the ground floor kitchen, which is more difficult because there are more walls to color in. One of the things that I get to do while drawing all of the counters and things on the north wall is to cut the refrigerator in half. And whenever I end up doing that, I like to show all of the things that might be in a refrigerator, all the bottles and cans and stuff, and it's fun. It's important to do all of the hanging pots and pans and lamps and things first, because I like to feather the edges around them so that they appear like they're floating in front. Because of all the horizontal lines on the east wall sinks, I end up turning the piece a great deal. And last but not least, drawing the tiles on the kitchen floor. It has to be done very carefully. With the inking all done, I can move on to the coloring. And as you may or may not know, the first thing that I like to do when I start coloring is to put in the biggest color in the drawing. So in this case, it's the white of the White House, the shadows and the grays and all of the rest of that stuff on the outside walls that are going to go in first. Coloring in all the shadowy gray of the White House in shade is a big project. There's a lot of wall space to take care of. I got to the end of it, and I didn't like the way that the thing was looking like it was hovering in space, so I decided to fill in the court, the asphalt that surrounds this layer with gray. I used the same color in the north facade drawing that I had done earlier. And this is tricky because you have to swirl the pen around in a circle in order to get that texture, but you have to be very careful when you're slamming up against the actual White House itself. With all that behind me, it's time to head into coloring the family kitchen itself. I tried to update the room with a sort of a blue pattern to give the room a little bit of color. Most of the things in these kitchens are either off-white, or they're either white or off-white or stainless steel or something like that. There's not really a whole lot of color in any of this, which is unusual for my White House drawings. But when we get to the sawed-off refrigerator, there's the potential for getting some color in with all the bottles and packages and whatnot. And to do that, there are so many colors, and I pick up a colored pen and dab a little tiny bit on it, and then I have to grab the next one. Now we move down to the pastry kitchen, which after doing the windows is just a symphony of off-whites and grays and stainless steel. This is a good example of how I do things generally, one thing at a time. I color in the MeWe ovens, then the cooling racks next to them. And the weird stove, I think it's for melting chocolate or something. Coloring in the shelves and the display case over the decorating table is the only way that I can inject color into this whole thing. The display case turned out pretty well, I think. You know, I'm always wondering, what parts of the process should I show? I can't expect you folks to watch everything, but I'm kind of surprised at how much you are seeing here. I mean, if I ran the camera all of the time while I was drawing, I would be awash in data before long. And now the largest topic remains to be done, the ground floor kitchen. Now that the walls are shaded, I plunk in the color for all of the first floor rooms across the back. Then the stainless steel stronghold of the refrigerator room. I sure hope this light gray pen holds out. Trying to project the reflections in the chrome-plated hanging lamps is a crapshoot because no one has viewed the room from this angle before. The sink goes in behind and you can see the feathering effect that I put around the ceiling fixtures. Filling in the colors around the pot rack and the stoves is just what I live for. It looks complicated, and I guess it is, but it always surprises me how fast it goes. I begin calling this Onion Island because of all the green onions that are being chopped up. While putting in the light gray and beige flooring color sort of solidifies the room, it isn't until the shading goes in that it comes to life. To finish out, there is the coloring the spiral staircase, the elevator car, and this wonderfully time-out corner for this bun rack. I wonder what it did to be exiled like that. At last, it's all done. It takes some getting used to because there's hardly any color in this thing, which is kind of unusual for these drawings, but it's designed for maximum efficiency by the head chef, and that has an elegance all to itself, despite the lack of color. So now we're out of the kitchen and we can move on to other things. If you're enjoying these videos, please subscribe to the channel if you would. Until next time, thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.